Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder when I head out for a walk and deliver an episode to you while I stroll around. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good morning, listeners. It is a lovely August day here in suburban Chicago. I can't believe it's August already. Wowza. I am out for a stroll, and because it's August 2nd, that means it's time to talk to you about what I've been playing. That's right, it's Top of the Stack. For those of you new to the podcast, Top of the Stack is a monthly review episode in which I talk about the games I played in the last month, sort of hitting some highlights, and read you a lot of stats. I listened back to the July episode, and I realized it's getting very statty and full of stats and not much conversation. So I'm going to try to be a little more conversational about it, but I still like sharing the stats as well. So if you have feelings about the Top of the Stack episode and would like to suggest changes to make it more fun to listen to, I'd be happy to hear those. You can reach out to me. Brendan@rattleboxgames.com is an email address I check. Or send me a message on Board Game Geek. Wombat929 is my username. Or you could head over to our guild, number 3269, over on Board Game Geek, and you can start a thread in the forum to talk about it. All right, so Top of the Stack. Let's start with some monthly play stats. My monthly plays, I had 66 plays of 52 different games, which is a healthy amount. It's a little bit less than I sometimes have, but well within, I think, a reasonable play amount, especially for summer. Overall, I've got 472 plays this year of 172 different games. So averaging 3 plays per game. That's interesting. I think those numbers are heavily bolstered by online play. My shelf of opportunity is down 1 game. I have played several new games off my shelf, but as always, I've acquired some new games as well. My collection size, my goal of reducing my collection size has also not gone well. I did sell 10 games this month, but 5 of them I had already removed from my collection because they'd been on my sale pile for a while, and I had removed them before I actually sold them. And then 5 more of them I did sell and remove, but then I guess I acquired 6 games this month, so yikes. My most played game this month was Ink and Gold. My Top of the Stack, I did not do well, and I'm really disappointed because going into the month, I was very confident I would be able to, and I had several opportunities. So my 4 games on the Top of the stack this month, remember my goal is to play 3 of these 4, whatever I put on the Top of the Stack. I had Twilight Imperium, Whistle Stop, Nanga Parbat, and Sidereal Confluence. Now, Nanga Parbat I was able to get played. In fact, I played it a couple times. It's great. I'm glad to have it in my collection. I talked about it already on a Shooting from the Hip episode. Whistle Stop, I tried several times to get this played. Nobody wants to play it. It's very annoying. It may end up going on the sale pile just for the fact that even when I'm actively trying to get it played, I can't get anyone to try it with me. Sidereal Confluence, I don't know why I left this on there. I don't know how I thought I would have time to play it. But I did leave it on there, and that's gonna haunt me because I did not get time to play it. And then finally, Twilight Imperium 4th edition. I did have a day set up. I was going to play, but then I only had, of the people I invited, only 2 people were able to attend. And with that small a number, I didn't want my first play of Twilight Imperium 4th edition to be such a small group, because I've heard, it's supposed to be really great at larger player numbers. So we did not end up playing that. So only 1 out of 4, which is kind of the running total this month. Maybe I should just assume that I'm always just going to get 1 out of 4 and work from there. But so far I've done 8 of my 24, or 8 of my 21 possible, or 7 of my, I did not do great this month. We'll talk at the end of the episode about what next month will hold. But this month, it's August. In terms of new plays, though, I certainly made progress and did great. I had tried 51 new games this year at the beginning of the month. And by the end of the month, I tried 61 new games. 10 new games in a month is an excellent amount, and I'm always happy to have that number. Here are the new games I tried. Tiny Epic Galaxies, which I have talked about. Silver and Gold, Fantastic Factories, Nanga Parbat, Snowtails, Rivet Heads, Village Green, Vampire the Masquerade Vendetta, Mr. Cabbagehead's Garden, Godzilla Tokyo Clash, and Vindication. Those last 3 will be in a Shooting from the Hip episode that I will release on Wednesday. So all the other ones I talked about already in previous episodes. Let's see, just looking over at those games. Favorite game of the month. Vampire the Masquerade Vendetta, I think, was my favorite gameplay. Vindication and Fantastic Factories are both very good. Silver and Gold and Nanga Parbat are great too. I liked Tiny Epic Galaxies. There weren't any in here that were real stinkers. They're all good. They're all good. Looking forward to the next month. So I did dust off 2 games. Out of the Dust is a feature in the podcast where I talk about games that I haven't played for a year or more. So if I try a game, or if I play a game and I haven't played it for a long time, then I will, it's called, I've taken it out of the dust. And the 2 games that I played, both on the same night, the Guillotine and the Resistance. Guillotine continues to be a really fun game. It's an excellent little party game, easy to chit-chat while you're playing, fun to play. Yeah, the Guillotine is great. And the Resistance was good, but without the extra fluff of Avalon, or without the player cards, I think the game isn't quite as good as it could be. So that wasn't great. Shelf of Opportunity log. Like I said, I played several games and I added several games. The 4 games that I have here that I added that I haven't mentioned much yet and I haven't tried are Mr. Cabbagehead's Garden, Athenium, The Mystic Library, Zombicide Night of the Living Dead, and Blood of the Northmen. Looking forward to trying those in the future. So, the Family 10x10 Challenge. At the beginning of July, I revised the Family 10x10 Challenge to reflect our changed choices in which games we would play. So here are the updated games. We have Cafe Chaos with 3 plays, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion with 5. My son is the only one who did not alter which games he intends for us to play. My daughter wants to try the Adventure Games series. We've played that 3 times now, so we have 7 to go there. And 7 Wonders is still on the list. We've only played it 3 times, so we've got some work to do there. Obsession, we swapped in Obsession and have played that 4 times this year. And Victoriana, which we've only played 3 times. That was always there. I left Anachrony on the list, although that seems pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Aspirational, given that I've only played it once so far this year. And Pandemic Legacy Season 0 is at 5 plays. Under Falling Skies, I swapped in for Nemo's War, and I've played that once so far. And Cartographers, we've played 3 times. Cartographers is the biggest bummer on the group here, because I put Cartographers on the list because I was expecting that sometime around now we would be receiving the expansion material that I helped kickstart, which I thought would sort of rejuvenate our excitement for Cartographers and toss us back into the Cartographers groove. And unfortunately, we haven't seen that yet. So we're at 31% complete, and we're in month 8. So if we're going to complete that stuff, we really gotta jack up our performance numbers in that category. We have 69 games to play and 5 months to do it. So yeah, I'm gonna be pushing for that a little bit more here. My biggest progress, or probably the highlight of the month, is the 52 game challenge. Remember, this is a list of a variety of different gaming prompts that challenge you to play games in a different way. I was a little bit more deliberate this month about playing games that fit some element of these challenge, although probably a couple of these I kind of stumbled into. As the months go on, I'm going to have to be more deliberate about specifically picking out games that fit the categories. Nonetheless, play a game with Easter eggs. I said Fantastic Factories, which I tried this month. Fantastic Factories had a whole bunch of really neat jokes in the art. Like, my favorite was the cement. There was a cement mixing plant, and the drawing of the plant made it look like a KitchenAid mixer. So lots of stuff where if you're just playing for the mechanics, you could easily overlook all these little treats, you might call them. Easter eggs. No. At least I would. Play a game where you can destroy buildings. This one was entirely accidental. A friend of mine suggested we play Godzilla Tokyo Clash. I said sure. Then when I was reviewing the list, I was like, oh yeah, you know what we did in that game? Destroyed lots of buildings. Boom, bang, 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 boom. Play a game in a rural setting. So Mr. Cabbagehead's Garden is about someone cultivating their garden. Now, I imagine this game to be taking place in a tiny rural British village. I guess it's possibly arguable that it takes place in a more suburban town or something, but all of the BBC mysteries and stuff that I see that have things like garden contests it's always these little villages. So I'm claiming that. It occurs to me though that the way this is framed, play a game in a rural setting, suggests maybe what I'm supposed to do is actually go to a farm and play whatever game I want. But I think they mean play a game that has a rural setting. Guess I don't know that for sure. Anyway, I'm taking it that way. Play a Doorstopper. So the requirement for the Doorstopper is the game has to weigh at least 3 kilograms, which is like 7 some pounds. And I've been thinking about this for a while, how to quantify that, like which game are we talking about? And ultimately I just decided, like, next time I have to play I have a game that's really heavy. That's the one I'm gonna count. And Arkham Horror, the card game, is gonna be my one there. It occurs to me I did not check to see if I'd marked that for anyone other game. I'm gonna call that a tentative completion, because my copy of Arkham Horror is this big, cool, old-timey leather box that my wife got me, and it's full to the brim with Arkham Horror cards, meaning it weighs, I'd say 15 pounds maybe, or more. It's pretty heavy. So that's Arkham Horror, the card game, a Doorstopper. Play a game with a time track. Just by chance, again, this is an accidental one. My buddy suggested that we play on Board Game Arena a little bit of Patchwork, which Patchwork is like one of the first games I played that had a time track. This idea that your piece moves forward based on how many time units you spend. So that worked out great. Play a game with something broken on the cover. So one of the games I played this month was Vindication, which is I'll talk about it in another podcast. It's sort of an adventure, a Euro-y adventure game, but one of the key elements is on the front cover. There is this sort of ancient sculpture with these giant rings, and in the foreground, there's another of the ancient sculptures that has fallen down and cracked and broken apart. So there's a broken ring right on the front of the cover, which, sounds like what they've asked for, something broken on the cover. And finally, play a game about transportation. This one might be stretching it a bit, but I would say it is a form of transportation. That's Snow Tales, the game about dog sled race. Dog sleds are a form of transportation. So there you go, a game about transportation. That's Snow Tales. So I'm up to 32 or 35 of the 52 games needed to complete this challenge, which means that I have 17 more to go. That feels pretty good. It means I can do 3 or 4 a month, and that will be plenty. So I'm glad to see that. By contrast, I did not make any progress on my Expand Your Shelf log. The Expand Your Shelf log is about keeping track of the expansions that I own and figuring out when I get to play them. Sort of like my Shelf of Opportunity log, but for expansions. I did acquire 2 expansions this month. Vault Wars, Relic Roadshow, which is an alternate set of auction cards to provide a bit of variety for the Ben Harkin's auction game Vault Wars. And then Everdell Spirecrest. Now Spirecrest was the one Everdell expansion that's been released so far that I did not already have. And I found that they happened to have a copy at Grandmaster Games, which I stopped by in sometime during the month because I happened to be in the neighborhood. And they had a copy of Spirecrest there. Like I said, this is a game I don't have. I didn't have that expansion yet, and that's the only one I didn't have because I do have the big box coming in sometime probably next year, based on the current overseas situation. And that big box will come with 2 expansions, but it'll also hold all the other material. So Spirecrest I now have as well. But I did not get to play either of those yet, so they go on to my unplayed list. Finally, collection size update. As I said, I already mentioned I mentioned the 4 games I got at the end of the month. I did not mention the 2 I got at the beginning. Nanga Parbat I got right on August 1st, or July 1st. And Goonies Never Say Die I picked up from Target during the month. And then at the end of the month, I got Mr. Cabbage Head's Garden, Athenium, The Mystic Library, which, like that one I'm really amused by because it's a game from Renegade Game Studios about collecting magical books and carefully arranging them on shelves. The thing is, in 2017, they already released a game called Ex Libris, which is about collecting magical books and carefully arranging them on shelves. So I'm deeply amused by the idea of having 2 games from the same publisher about collecting magical books. And so I had to get it. Also, I had some Amazon points, so it was not spending straight up cash. And then Blood of the Norseman and Zombicide Night of the Living Dead were the last 2. Blood of the Norseman was an impulse buy. I saw it was a Carl Chuddick game. The reviews are mediocre for it, but I'm hoping it'll be fun. I don't have very many people on a map game, and I really like Carl Chudik's other material. His Innovation and Glory to Rome and Matainai is one of my favorites. So I'm hoping that it will turn out that Blood of the Norseman is also great. And then Zombicide: Night of the Living Dead is a game I've been eyeing for a while. They had a copy there, or have a copy at my local friendly game store, and it's $140. And I'm like, I can't bear to spend that much money on the game, even though it looks really fun, and it would suit my academic work because I teach a class about zombies and I actually do use zombie board games in my class. So, it would fit everything I like to do, but I didn't want to pay $140 for it. And then I stopped by another local game store where they tend to have good discounts on games, and they had it for $71. So, yeah, bought it. So that's Zombicide: Night of the Living Dead. Well, that brings me to the end of my Top of the Stack episode. The only thing I have left to do is talk about what games I'm playing next month. I haven't thought this through very carefully, so I might be silly here, but I definitely want to play Athenium, the Mystic Library, so that one's going on the list for sure. I usually have one retry. I still want to try it. I'm going to put it on there again. I'm Sisyphus pushing this boulder up a hill, but Whistle Stop is going on my list for the revisit. I do have a category for audience choice, but I haven't asked people to do that. Maybe I'll return the audience choice category next month. So if you have a game you'd like me to play, head over to my profile on Board Game Geek. You can look up user Wombat929, and I have a geek list called My Shelf of Opportunity. Each game has a certain number of thumbs, and from there you can vote by adding thumbs to the games you think I should try, and I'll try one of them. But for this month, I think I'm going to put the Goonies game on here. It's the end of the summer. I think it would be a fun one to play with my family, so I'm going to put Goonies Never Say Die on there as my audience choice. For the reattempt, a game that I have tried to get played off my shelf and have failed to do, and so I'm trying again. So for my revisit, I'm going to take a stab at Argent the Consortium, which is a game about working at a magical wizard school and trying to become the new regent for the school. It's a game I've wanted to play for a while, but just takes a bit of effort to get played, so I haven't made the effort. But this month I will. Thanks for joining me in my walk today. I'd hope to hear from what games you've been playing. You can head over to Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and share your experiences there. Let me know what you've been playing. Let me know what you're planning to play next month. How are you doing on your monthly goal? Thanks for joining me today. I hope that your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.